8 VIP protection officers arrested for assault have been granted bail, of course, of 10,000 rands each. And they were arrested after a video of them allegedly assaulting motorists on the N1 highway had gone viral. The men face charges of assault, malicious damage to property, as well as pointing a firearm. But senior reporter Aviwe Mtila is at the court, and he joins me now to give us more details about what came out of that court appearance. Aviwe, a very warm good morning to you, colleague. Magistrate Mkhabisi, I think giving a scathing ruling in the beginning, just demonstrating the role of protectors and members of the SAPAs, but of course under the same breath saying it's the suspect's constitutional right, of course, to at this stage be granted bail and to appear in court. What are the details? Good morning.
Morning, Tumelo, and certainly very harsh at first towards the police, the 8, of course, VIP unit personnel that stood at the dock today, of course, following that bail application, saying that there is information that they mishandled. They knew their role exactly and are supposed to be the very protectors of the community. But at this stage, these accusations that they face are quite dire. But of course, we heard there that at this stage, the state itself has presented a weak and frail case, and in fact has placed this matter on the roll prematurely. We see the suggestions there is that the main allegation that these suspected 8 VIP unit personnel may intimidate the witnesses, and the magistrate seeming to suggest that at this stage that can't be proved. In fact, there is one of those assumed witnesses at this stage, a Mr. Kuhn, who's the person that actually shared the video that went viral, and the suggestion is that he himself received threats already via messages, but those threats can't be traced at this stage, and the state says that it may take at least a month to get those messages traced and pinpointed to the exact sender of the messages, and the justice itself won't be on merit, the magistrate seemed to suggest. Also, the person that actually took the video at this stage is still unknown, as we do know that that person shared the video with this particular Mr. Kuhn, who works in the security industry, and then it was Mr. Kuhn who then shared the video that went viral. The person that took the video is still afraid to actually come out, afraid of that very intimidation that was spoken about in court. A number of things missing that we heard there from the magistrate, but of course at this stage the 8 accused have been granted bail of 10,000 rand each and are to reappear at the magistrate court back in Randburg on the 27th of September.
And also just, Aviwe, I mean, if we stay with what the magistrate had to say, and just for a moment, if I may, just looking at the state and, you know, the evidence that they have brought in its entirety, I know that the witness having been allegedly harassed is one of the evidence that they brought forward. But it seems the magistrate is saying that this case was brought to the court prematurely, and there's still a lot more that the state still needs to do in terms of those further investigations until the postponement date, which is the 27th of September. Let's talk about perhaps the evidence and the role here of the state and what they've brought to the court so far.
Well, the magistrate went on to suggest that, in fact, if the investigations were to be done thoroughly, she has no doubt that, in fact, a successful conviction may ensue. But at this stage, the matter itself has been brought prematurely, and, you know, it's sort of weak and frail at this stage. A number of indications, of course, in that direction. For example, the one that I mentioned a bit earlier on, not being able to link the threats that were directed to that security expert, Mr. Kuhn, to one of the 8, or just coming from the actual accused themselves. So that's one, of course, that they say that at this stage they can't do. Another issue that hasn't been done at this stage is the identity parade. We do know that the witnesses that were assaulted at this stage haven't been able to identify or given that opportunity to identify any of the 8 witnesses. And while it's unknown at this stage, but it sort of talks to the frailness and the weakness of the stage, because that identity parade at this stage hasn't been done by the state itself. In fact, it's some of what we want to find out from the NPA spokesperson, Pindim Jonatwana, who we will be actually chatting to shortly from now, just to maybe also get indication what's going to happen going forward from the state's side, because it's quite clear from what the magistrate has told us, that this state is very frail, it's very weak at this stage. More investigation needs to be done, and it's actually been brought onto the roll quite prematurely.